Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into my podcast once again. If you are returning, if you're a regular listener, I thank you for the support. This podcast keeps on growing, and I definitely appreciate all my listeners. If you are new here, my name is Renee Patrice. I'm an entrepreneur, and I talk about small businesses and my own small business as well, and life happenings. So join us here. I teach on here, I encourage on here. This is definitely a place where you will leave inspired. So this episode, this is for my entrepreneurs. Anyone that ever has had the inkling that they wanted to have their own business, that they did not want to work the 9 to 5 anymore. There are steps to eventually easing yourself out of the 9 to 5 life and working for yourself, but it's going to take dedication. You got to lock in if you no longer want to clock in. And I think that a lot of folks that want to be entrepreneurs, having their own business and working for themselves, they are not ready to really lock in. They want to do it when they want to do it. They want to take their time. And that can happen sometimes when you still have a 9 to 5, because you still have the 9 to 5 that you can fall back on. It's when that 9 to 5 is no longer there where it's like the baptism by fire type of thing. But what I suggest, and I can say this from experience, is that I held on to the 9 to 5 as long as possible, and I let the 9 to 5 help fund my venture, my business. And sometimes that's what you need to do. People want to be entrepreneurs because they get to pick their own hours and they can get up whenever they want. Let me tell you something. I get up earlier and I work way longer hours in my own business. My own business caused me more stress than the 9 to 5 job. But the one thing that makes it worth it in the end is that my business is so fulfilling. The 9 to 5 job was less stress, kind of overall, but it wasn't mine. It was for somebody else. My business is for me. So the fulfillment of it, yes, it's a little bit more stressful because everything kind of falls on you, but the fulfillment of it makes it such a beautiful thing. And the stress doesn't really feel like stress. It just feels like necessary work for this business to work. So the key is to lock in and focus on what it is you need to do to build your business. You can go to the SBA.gov website. I have talked about this website a million times, and I'm going to say it again. It can show you everything from the beginning to the end of how to run, maintain, and thrive a successful small business. And they're very helpful. Have mentors, and everything that you can imagine is there. There's so many other websites that you can Google and find that just have so much information. We all have smartphones now. And if you have one of the newer iPhones or Android or whatever it is you have, there's no excuse anymore. I know that people say there are no dumb questions in this, and there really aren't. There aren't dumb questions, but the answers they're right there in your hand. They're right there in your hand. And I'm not just talking about AI chats and asking questions. I'm talking about Google. Google is your friend. I know I have said this 10 million times. Google is your friend. Whatever the question is that you have, just type that question into Google and you will find so much information. There's no need to exhaust yourself anymore. Before, you had to go to the library and look things up, and go to this other place and look things up, and find somebody in the industry to ask questions. And you don't even have to do that anymore. Now, that is still helpful. That's still very helpful, but you have so much information right in front of you. So I understand when you go to some business pages and people ask very, I would say, rudimentary type questions, things that they could easily Google. It's like, That's already telling me about how you are going to be in your business. That's already telling me that you're not locked in. It's already telling me the laziness that is going to be there. I'm not saying you can't ask questions, but there are some things that you should be able to Google and get down with and research. If you are an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, you need to get on your research game, because that is what is going to help you build your business. You need to research your industry. I don't even care if you're going into an industry that you have a degree in. Start doing more research in that field. Don't say, well, I got a degree in this or that and I don't have to learn anymore. Listen, I have degrees in journalism and media, and I still do research every single day, so I can learn what's happening new in the media space. So I can learn how to navigate these different, publications, and, using those things to my advantage to build my business. This is not the time for the head in the sand. This is the time to really get up and get motivated. And maybe you might not be there yet with the motivation. That may be another thing. I'm a huge supporter of therapy. Get yourself to therapy and kind of unpack what's happening or what may be holding you back. There may be something deep down that has held you back. Maybe you grew up in a family that they never encouraged you. Maybe you grew up in abuse. Maybe you grew up in situations that held you back. Whatever that is. So maybe therapy is the first step for you to kind of unpack that, because so many people will go to therapy and it gives them this aha moment like, oh, wow, that was the thing that was keeping me from whatever. And it could be the key to unlocking some very helpful things for your life. Therapists don't tell you, well, do this or do that. Therapists help you arrive at the best solutions and help you with tools to guide you through whatever that thing that you're dealing with or going through. Therapy would definitely be a great thing. And I know I've talked about this on this podcast before, that entrepreneurs tend to deal with depression quite a bit, because if you're a solopreneur, everything kind of falls on you. So we do definitely deal with that more than others, and jobs that kind of keep you isolated from others. So you have to remember to reach out to people and keep yourself busy and going to networking events and really taking care of your mental and physical health. That is something that is very important, but that's part of being locked in. So if you can't stand clocking in, it's time for you to lock in. Okay? Google is your friend. Let's go. I'll talk to you soon, guys. Bye.